So, you're telling me I can be a full-blown space scoundrel? Check, sir. And I get to have a capable and adorable sidekick? Yes, sir. And we get to explore environments full of life, bustling with all sorts of NPC, scum, and villainy? Yes, sir. Wait, I can literally swim the Lando Calrissian in Sabak? You got it, sir. Everything just looks perfect. Spoiler alert, sir. What is it? People hate Star Wars Outlaws. The reasons, however, are unclear, sir. But why? It's not even out yet. Is it because it sounds too good to be true? Maybe, sir. Is it because it's by Ubisoft? Sir, that's, rhetorical? Sir, is it because it pushes woke agendas? You're joking, right, sir? Star Wars Outlaws! From the get-go, this game is somehow fighting an uphill battle to win over gamers in general, let alone Star Wars fans. Even with the game sounding better and better as its launch day approaches, a lot of gamers just won't give it a chance, with many already expecting it to be a premature flop. The problems with Star Wars Outlaws stem from much deeper than simple gamer hatred, however, going from abusive business practices all the way down to encouraging animal negligence. Confused? Good. It's been really complicated being a Star Wars fan in the past 10 years or so. With so many unfilled promises, untapped potentials, and missed opportunities, it gets harder and harder to be purely excited whenever something from a galaxy far, far away gets announced. Nostalgic biases aside, it's undeniable that Disney has dropped the ball time and again, especially when it comes to the Star Wars video games. The EA 10-year exclusivity deal bore very few fruits throughout its tenure, and that's just a hard fact. So now, living in a post-sequel trilogy world, but most of all, given the current default cynicism that mars the broader gaming community as of late, I really am trying my best here to just believe that Star Wars Outlaws, Ubisoft's first stab at the space opera everyone loves to hate, could be the next best thing since sliced bread. Nice. And yeah, I know how that sounds. Had I never heard of the game since it was announced back in the summer of 2023, I would have probably also scoffed at the whole first ever AAA open world single player Star Wars game by Ubisoft thing. However, to my surprise, this game was revealed in a refreshingly aggressive manner back then. It was just awesome to see not only a cinematic teaser trailer, but then get a full gameplay display of how Outlaws should look like immediately after, approximately a year before its release. And I've gotta say, I've been loving the calculated abundance of information on this game since then, releasing dev diaries, numerous interviews, fan kits, and now releasing even previews. Everything feels so right so far in my opinion, and there's even more coming. And yep, this game hasn't been delayed yet. August 30th, when gold and all. Well, at least for now. Did I jinx it? I just jinxed it, didn't I? So as I said earlier, Star Wars Outlaws made a hell of an impact back in June of 23 when it was announced. And I'm mainly excited not because all I've seen so far is full of innovative, groundbreaking stuff we've never seen before, but mostly because we keep seeing a lot of ideas that we never really got to play with in a Star Wars setting before since the good old LucasArts days. I've been wanting to be a scoundrel since Shadows of the Empire and Bounty Hunter. I've been wanting to be given a blaster, a ship, my own speeder bike, and just be left to my own devices. And yes, I know that the Jedi games from Respawn gave us a lot of all that, even more than I expected to be honest. But you gotta admit that after you get stuff like Rogue One, Andor, The Mandalorian, I don't know, it just makes me want to play as a normal, ordinary person in an open world game all about being a sabacc playing Space Menace. Call me crazy, but is that too much to ask? At the same time too though, we gotta remember, many of these ideas were dangled in front of us before and during the aforementioned EA era were never really delivered by titles that simply got canned when Disney just straight up closed shop at LucasArts. Look, as a recovering diehard Star Wars fan, it's still hard for me to not let the intrusive thoughts into my mind, you know? And by intrusive thoughts I mean waking up in the middle of the night and relentlessly thinking about stuff like Battlefront 3, First Assault, Star Wars 1313, the Ragtag Project. Those are like both my Roman Empire and my sleep paralysis demons, you know? I'll never be able to forgive Disney for taking this away from me. This right here made me so giddy back in the day. That was the same E3 the Last of Us gameplay was first shown. Oh, what a time to be alive. 1313 had everything in its favor. It had the good old third-person cover and shoot format, perfected and arguably exhausted by the start of the 2010s with games like Gears of War, Uncharted, Mass Effect. It just kills me that we could have played as bounty hunters more than 10 years ago. Hell, we were gonna be the bounty hunter, young Boba himself, before the Sarlacc pit, before capturing Han Solo, before all of that book nonsense, before everything we ever knew about the guy. We could have also played as a ragtag team of scoundrels 8 years ago, navigating the gutters of the intergalactic underworld in a rich, story-driven, cinematic single-player gaming experience donned by none other than Amy Hennig herself, in an all-new tale set in a galaxy far, far away. We almost got to play the ultimate final form of the OG Battlefronts, finally achieving the incredible feat back in 2010 of seamlessly taking the fight from the ground straight into orbit, giving us the full intergalactic war experience we so deeply longed for. Instead of any of that, we got 2 repaint jobs that almost amounted to a whole full-fledged game by the time the second one came around, which only got worse when we all got tricked into believing that EA was actually gonna try and give us a long overdue single-player campaign for the ages, but no. They just couldn't bother to make it worth our time and money. And look, don't get me wrong, those games were fun for what they were, and the Jedi games have been awesome, sure. But there is really no discussion that we should have gotten more. 10 years is way too long to only allow us to have almost 5 full-length AAA games, given how much talent and how much money has always been involved in all of this. And look, I don't even get hung up on most of the stuff the average Star Wars dork cries about 24/7 nowadays. I don't care that it's a chick as a lead, I don't care that the chick isn't white, and I certainly don't care that the face of a digital fictional character doesn't look attractive. I just want to have stupid, mindless fun in space. These gameplay trailers are giving Watch Dogs, GTA, and Red Dead Revolver vibes all at the same time, and I want it. I want to be a menace to the Imperial establishment and to alien criminals alike, disrupting their fragile house of cards of greed and malevolence. I want to be free to explore every slimy nook and cranny of the gutters of galactic society, venturing into dark corners not meant for the faint-hearted. I want to roleplay developing a gambling addiction, becoming the most fierce boxlinger in all the rims, so then I can buy legitimate businesses such as moisture farms so I can launder those credits, you know? Just let me have that, Ubisoft. I'm begging you. There are many unavoidable truths in this life. Death, taxes, the e-girl supremacy, but also the fact that you can bet the house on a Ubisoft game having some kind of catch to it 9 out of 10 times. And criticizing them is a double-edged sword of its own, because it's not like they only put out bad games. The Assassin's Creed franchise alone has been going on for more than 15 years now with no signs of slowing down at all. In the near future alone, last time I checked, they had like more than 10 titles confirmed. Look at Far Cry, for example. Same thing. And while other mainline franchises Ubisoft has developed in the course of these last 15 years, such as The Division and even Watch Dogs, have had rockier and slightly less fruitful paths, people still went on to enjoy those, myself included. Shit, there's even people like me still clamoring for the ill-fated, way too early announced remake of the Prince of Persia: Sands of Time from the PS2 era, which could, I don't know, lead to a full remake of one of the best trilogies ever. Imagine a Warrior Within remake, dude. Regardless, we can't just ignore the fact that Ubisoft is guilty of not only putting out an absurd amount of games over a ridiculously short span of time, but they're also very guilty of loading up a lot of these games with repetitive content, creating behemoth games that take way too long to fully enjoy and to complete. Valhalla, I'm looking at you. Thankfully though, according to the devs at Massive, this will definitely not be a problem with Star Wars Outlaws. They've gone on record repeatedly stating that they wanted a game with a main campaign clocking in around 25 to 30 hours, hitting a total length of 50 to 60 hours for completionists, which again sounds like great news. I'm gonna sound like a broken record here, but this game just keeps sounding better and better. Having said that, however, However, it's hard not to mention the worst aspect of Ubisoft's thorny reputation, being obnoxiously greedy. Since we can't have nice things in this world, when Star Wars Outlaws got its release date back in April, the elation of finally knowing when we might be putting our hands on the game was almost immediately washed over by the not so great news, the game's different versions and different prices. Ubisoft has been a pioneer of monetarily gatekeeping content from its consumers for a while now, weaponizing early access periods, basically blackmailing us with heavy amounts of hype, and it just sucks. On top of all of this, there's also their notorious downgrading. I'll always remember when Watch Dogs finally came out. That was the first time that my head fully tilted and I went, looking at a video game. And look, I played the shit out of that game, loved it to bits, surely. But now, the difference from announcement trailer to retail copy was crazy, and unfortunately not an isolated instance. And yeah, I know it's not 2012 anymore, and the Ubisoft downgrades are definitely milder than wilder nowadays. However, this very peculiar feeling came up when I was first seeing the announcement trailer for Outlaws that actually made me super conflicted about how some of the aspects of the game look in these clips that we've gotten so far. When it comes to environments, particles, lighting, ambience, it looks really good, sure. It does seem to struggle a little bit, however, in the facial animation department, giving Team America vibes a little bit. Just a little bit. Hard to unsee it though. Sorry. So as it stands, I'm confused as to if I should be mad that a AAA game doesn't look like it was made by Naughty Dog every damn time, or if I should just feel reassured that the marketing for the game is really trying its best to advertise it the closest to the end product as possible. Am I becoming more charitable towards big corporations that definitely don't keep my best interests in mind, or are my standards forcefully being lowered by increasingly ruthless business models imposed by said corporations? Who am I? Want to know what's the funniest thing about all of this complaining, arguing, and rationalizing around this literal piece of metaphysical media that is not even accessible to the public yet? Most of us are still buying into it. Video game and entertainment companies just know how much of a chokehold they got on consumers like us, and we hate to admit it. But it's true. Even with how trepidatious everyone is around anything Star Wars lately, we are all still affected by it in some way, and most likely will be purchasing, or at the very least eventually playing this game, pre-order or not, Ubisoft Plus subscription or not. However, while you have people like yours truly who are really just praying for this game to be good and just fun to play, you also had, on the other hand, the most annoying aspect of any major piece of pop culture media nowadays, the fanboys. Look, I try really hard to evade any claims of being a shill, so I'll admit it, alright? Not all Star Wars products are created equal 10 years into the Disney buy. However, I also gotta admit that, at the same time, I'm very easy to please when it comes to entertainment, especially when it comes to Star Wars. It takes something to the likes of The Acolyte to really make me stop and go through the trouble of actually getting bothered by the lack of quality in something that pertains to a universe that I want to keep liking so badly. So when I saw the first trailer for Star Wars Outlaws, I'm not gonna lie, I was ecstatic. It really felt as if when you heard the whole pitch that was just dropped on us last year, the game was made for me. Someone who just loves the Star Wars universe and wants to see more and more of it. Every choice just kind of makes sense in this game. The timeline setting is intriguing. The premise of being set loose in the galaxy controlling such an interesting archetype such as the scoundrel is exciting, and funnily enough, it looked awesome. Again, Ubisoft, blah blah blah, sure, but come on, this looks objectively good. So when I see people getting hung up on, or more likely pretending to get hung up on, stupid shit like, oh, the character looks ugly, oh no, look, a woman, woke agenda. I'm just like, damn bro, we really can't have any nice things in this world. Yes, this game could flop. Yes, I'm extremely naive. Yes, games are getting absurdly expensive, but goddamn, this game makes me feel excited. It really feels like Massive Entertainment gathered a team of individuals that really love Star Wars and were dead set on cracking the code, if you will, to not even contemplate the possibility of giving them and their game a chance, and also to not allow fellow consumers consumers to just be excited without having to rain on their parade all the time is just silly. I mean, look at this UI, bro. Look, I think it's Star Wars' own fault for leaving its average enjoyer a little jaded lately, consequently making us almost always expect the worst by default whenever a new product comes around. However, we must admit that when they find the spot, they hit it. Outlaws feels like one of those times. This feels like those first times I saw the trailer for The Force Awakens. This feels like my first look at Mando. Hopefully, this will feel like Andor did by the end of it when I watched it. Just peak perfect Star Wars. Again, it's been so long since we've had a game of this caliber be announced to be released just a year later, show no signs of being delayed, have heaps of information coming at a very steady pace, and on top of that, looking better and better every time. I don't know, man, this feels legit. And sure, they might be copying out by choosing the spot in the timeline they chose, leaning on an archetype that works well with the audiences, and clearly using nostalgia as the main fodder to their media canons.
I know.
But the idea alone of having a Star Wars game that evokes comparisons with titles like GTA, Red Dead Revolver, The Witcher, presented with such care, richness, and fidelity, truly aiming to give fans an experience we've not only been waiting for, but never had yet. That's so enticing to me. People need to chill out with the hate and try harder to see things for what they are. The content is right in front of us. It could just be as good as it sounds. Hell, honestly, I'd very much settle for a 7 out of 10 good Star Wars open world game. Easy. I know we've been burned in the past. I know, pun intended. But come on, look at this UI. I'm kidding. But I don't know, with all I've seen so far, it's just hard to deny that this has the potential to be a banger. I'm kind of tired of Star Wars so-called fans that just aren't able to allow themselves and others to be excited for things again. It's almost as if this whole franchise wasn't built on the idea of being hopeful, literally. Oh, hello there. So if you're still here, you might be wondering about that whole animal negligence thing that I dropped in the beginning of the video but never came back to. So yeah, who the hell gives this small of a pearl to this small of an animal? He's definitely gonna choke on this, Kay. What the fuck?